Butter is one of the most gluttonous single ingredients in the world of food, and we can't get enough of it. A lot of people don't make their own butter, and I can see why. It's a quite daunting to. No, it's not. All you gotta do is pour some cream in a bowl and whip it. I mean, kind of. Then you have to wash it and roll it, but then you have that rich and delectable gold. If you want to take that extra step, though, you can culture the cream before beating it. Pretty much culturing is the process of converting milk sugars into lactic acid, or in English, lightly fermenting the cream. That's what'll get you that tangy, wangy, nutty, wuddy flavor. And here's how you do it. Firstly, you need a lidded container, or just tight saran wrap, I'm not judging. I'm using 32 ounces of heavy cream, but it doesn't really matter how much you use. The only thing you sorta have to have a precise amount of is your culturing agent. What is a culturing agent, though? A culturing agent is essentially any cultured or fermented dairy product. Just to name a few you might have in your fridge right now, unless you're lactose like me, sour cream, yogurt, buttermilk, pretty much any tangy or non-timid dairy product is cultured. And yes, you sick fucks who like kefir can use that too. Now you want to have a roughly 20-to-1 ratio of heavy cream to culturing agent. In this case I'm using sour cream and I'll just use about 3 tablespoons. Now you just want to slap that bee in there and mix it up. Then pop a lid on it and put it in a nice, safe, cozy corner of your kitchen and let it sit there for at least 24 hours and maximum 48. And then boom, you have some nice cultured cream. You'll immediately notice that its texture is thicker and it smells more tangy, almost like buttermilk. And that's going to translate into a nice nutty flavor in our final product. Now to actually start the churning process, you're going to want to get a stand mixer and a whisk attachment and pour the heavy cream right in the bowl. Note, you don't have to use a stand mixer. You could easily use a hand mixer, not easily use a whisk, or even use a mason jar or bottle of some kind and shake it till you get the same result. You'll want to start on maybe medium speed and build up to medium high over the course of a minute or two. And keep that mixing. You really want to mix it longer than you think you'll need. You'll come across a few stops on the road trip to Butterville, such as thick cream after maybe 3 minutes, whipped cream after 5 or 6, and stiff cream after about 9. But you want to go beyond. Keep beating that until the cream starts to look like popcorn. Then keep going. Eventually it'll get this curdled, wet look. And don't worry, I know it looks ugly, but this is exactly what we're going for. You'll want to pay attention after this point because if you leave it too long, the liquid in the bowl will splash up and cause a mess. Keep an eye on it until a thick mass starts to form inside your whisk and it turns yellow, and a white liquid pools at the bottom. That's buttermilk. Get it? Buttermilk? Oh god. Now you can keep that buttermilk and use it in a cake or a pancake or just drink it if you want to get into the salty spittoon. But at that point, you want to stop the mixer and get a bowl or two out. Firstly, you can pour the buttermilk into one of the bowls and strain the butter into that same bowl with a fine mesh sieve. You really want to get as much liquid out of the butter as possible. Now you want to get some cold water. You can prepare some with ice beforehand or just toss a bowl of water into the freezer earlier that day. The reason we want cold water is to rinse the remaining buttermilk off of the butter without melting it, so you really want to make sure that water is super cold. Now you can go as far as to let your hand sit in the water for a minute, just so your body heat won't melt the butter while you're working it. Anyway, put the cold water in a bowl along with the butter, and rinse it like they rinsed the sets of Dude That Was Awesome. You want to rub it down, tear it apart, and really penetrate it. When your water gets super cloudy, pour it out and refill it with more cold water, and keep rinsing. Do this until the water comes out 99% clear. The reason we want to rinse the butter is so that it doesn't get slimy in the fridge and it'll extend its shelf life. At this point you can take the butter and pat it down with a paper towel or a normal towel if you're more environmentally friendly and get it as dry as possible. Personally, I don't like wet and slimy butter stinking up my fridge, and I hope you hold the same opinion. You can let the butter sit out for a few minutes to soften. I find this helpful especially since I didn't and had an ugly roll. I'll fix that within the next few batches though. Now put it in any kind of container and put it in the fridge. Good night, sweet prince. But really, let's be honest. Flavored butter is the side hoe to all this normal stuff. So let's start pimping. First of all, we're going to salt all the butter. Since we're not using it for baking, we can consider it a condiment, and in the words of Adam Ragusa, condiments should be too strong, or something like that. The salt's going to bring out all of the sweet and sour flavors in these butters, so just let the butter sit out and soften, then whip it up with whatever you may have. Then you want to toss some salt in, not too much, I like salt so I'm going for about 2 teaspoons to a tablespoon, then you want to keep whipping until it's nicely incorporated. To start off, we're going to make a red wine butter, and this is going to be really great on steak or pork chops, but keep in mind, it doesn't matter what you put it on. It can go on chicken, steak, pork, or cereal if that's what you dig. Don't let anyone tell you you're incorrect for liking your food combinations. So you want to get about 2 cups of red wine, 1 chopped shallot, and an optional 1/4 of a cup of red wine vinegar. The vinegar is just going to add an extra punch to the final product, but like I said, it's completely optional. Just toss all those ingredients into a saucepan and turn the heat on high until it boils, then turn the heat down until it's at a hard simmer and reduce. You really want to reduce as long as you dare. That's just so the butter will keep its signature texture. Though I'm leaving a little bit in so it'll act as a dye, just to give the butter a nice purple color. And do not forget to let it cool. You almost want to chill it, at least to room temperature, or else it'll melt your butter. 10 minutes in the freezer would be perfect, and if you want to get some extra brownie points, you can put a couple glugs of balsamic vinegar in there, just for that extra sweet kick. If you wanted to go above and beyond though, you could put a cube of demi-glace in there. That'll just give it a really nice meaty flavor that'll make it even better on steak or pork chops. Now the next one is my favorite. It's going to be the opposite of the red wine butter. We're going to make a tangy white wine and tarragon butter. To do this, you want to take 2 cups of white wine, roughly 1 cup of white wine vinegar, a few teaspoons of tarragon, the juice of 1 lemon, and 2 chopped shallots. Once again, you're going to bring this to a boil and reduce the heat to simmer until it's reduced to almost no liquid left. Chill for a little while, maybe 10 minutes in the freezer. Now mix it up into your softened and whipped butter and marvel at the tangy tarragon blessing that you've granted yourself. This goes super good with chicken, fish, or any vegetable really. Now for the Roadhouse classic everyone probably came here for, honey butter. To do this, you'll want to put a couple tablespoons of powdered sugar in the softened butter. It's really to taste, but remember, we're still putting honey in it, so that'll sweeten it up more. We're just giving it that extra punch right now. So we'll toss in between 2 and 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar and mix that until smooth. Now you can take your honey and pour that in. It's to taste, but remember, this is a condiment, so we want it to be pretty powerful. But regardless, I put about 1/4 of a cup in. But ultimately, just go till you want to, baby. This is good on so many things. You can eat it on toast, a Hawaiian roll, pancake waffles, or my favorite, chicken and waffles. It's cool just to see how simple it is to make and flavor your own butter. You can really put anything in it that suits your fancy, and I implore all of you watching to try it out at home. It one-ups the store-bought stuff in some subtle ways while staying the butter you know and love.